George Michael had an album called Listen Without Prejudice, Volume 1. The Volume 2 never happened. But anyway, so Listen Without Prejudice I thought was a great name for an album and should be applied to so much pop music because people apply so much prejudice to pop music. And so if you go to, let's say it's a Justin Bieber song. I was in China recently and somebody in the tour group said that they hated Justin Bieber. And then they were talking about how, they loved a lot of modern R&B. And for them... they believed that they would hate anything that Justin Bieber did, and then so I played them one of his recent songs, and they were like, "Oh, well, this is actually quite good." Well, yeah. So Listen Without Prejudice is always a good thing, whether it's George Michael or whether it's Bieber or whether it's Barry White, whoever it is.
Sticking with that sort of genre, perhaps of the crooners, those ones that were. Because there was a sort of a style like that for a while. You had your Barry Manilow's and others. And I mean, you go to Wiki and a list of crooners, I mean, it goes several pages of scroll down. Are there any people sort of like that have been favourites for you, Tim, where you're actually kind of like, this is not just caricatured music on in the background or music to woo by, but this is actually quality as well? Yeah, I mean, there's a few. If you go back to the start of soul music, and Sam Cooke was really the beginning of soul music, and soul music, not strictly speaking, but one aspect of soul music has become associated with, very romantic songs, yeah. and songs that you could woo by. Yeah. And so Sam Cooke, he was in a gospel quartet before he crossed over into doing secular music. Okay. And in the churches where they would tour around, yeah. When they were doing gospel music, women were fainting, girls were fainting over this gospel music, and mothers were desperate to get their daughters married off to Sam Cooke, and doing all sorts of things which weren't overly Christian in order to get Sam to be the husband of their daughter, and so that's sort of where it began. And Sam Cooke died in 1964, and the man who sort of took up the mantle of doing very romantic soul and R&B was Marvin Gaye, and the Temptations were doing that in the 60s as well, very romantic songs like My Girl, but all those artists like the Temptations and Marvin Gaye, they moved into doing more socially conscious but songs as the 60s came to an end and the 70s. But then Marvin would still slip in, after the What's Going On album, which is socially conscious, the next album, or one of the next albums he did was the Let's Get It On album, which was, so he went from the social and the spiritual to the carnal and could swap between the two. Right.
Quite easily.
And kept that sort of theme going.
Yeah.